2024 and 2025 have been designated as the Korea-Canada Year of Cultural Exchanges. The two countries are aiming to build a strong foundation for enhanced bilateral relations based on the growing exchanges in culture. For today's Hallyu People, we'll meet a musician who is connecting Korea and Canada through music, and especially through a traditional Korean instrument called a gayageum. And we heard her beautiful music just a moment ago. We are now connected to Korean-Canadian composer and performer, as well as president of the Grace Music College, Professor Grace Jong-eun Lee. Hello, Professor Lee.
Hello, Professor.
Oh, hello. Great meeting you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, as I just mentioned, the years 2024 and 2025 have been designated as a special period for Korea and Canada to enhance cultural exchanges. I can imagine that you were and are pretty busy on this occasion. So first off, can you tell us about related activities that you were or will be engaged in?
That's right. It's a very honor to established for 2024-25 is a special year, connecting year of cultural exchanges between Canada and Korea. I was very thrilled having that concerts and special concerts through my Korea-Canada Symphony Orchestra a couple of months ago, actually, October. And we truly have a lot of events, the cultural events throughout the arts exhibitions throughout the years.
Wow, different events going on. Very busy for you. Now I want to talk about your relationship with the 가야금, a 12-string Korean zither. How did it start, and what kind of made you, decide to perform and teach it? Because it's not what you originally majored in, I heard.
Yes, it's a long story. I mean, I'm a 1.5 generation who had immigrant in 1987, long time ago, with my parents' family. I majored all bunch of Western instruments, starting piano, cello, voice and compositions. And by the time, also I was learning 가야금 as well. One of my composition professor says, you probably need to have your identities. You need to have Korean instruments that you want to learn. And when I came to Canada and studying Western instruments, studying at UBC up to the master degree, that I was always thinking about 가야금 as a representative myself. It's most of this generation for I really wanted to explain how I know myself and express myself as a Korean and Canadian. I want to express it into the music. So I was actually developing myself to play more the 가야금 and sonorities. Many mistakes that I had with the symphony orchestra and strings, Western instruments. Throughout the years, I always wanted to dream as a 가야금 concerto, writing concerto orchestra pieces, and playing throughout North America.
I think this is very meaningful and wonderful because I actually learned the violin when I was in Germany. I should have also learned more traditional Korean instruments by hearing what Professor Lee just said.
I know, definitely. I definitely do want to learn 가야금 one day, maybe. It's never too late, right?
It's never too late.
It's never too late. Now, Professor Lee, as a piano composer and 가야금 player, I'm sure you're very well aware of, the uniqueness of Korean traditional music. I do want to ask you, what do you think is the biggest difference between Korean culture music, traditional music, compared to kind of Western traditional musics?
Truly that I know more into the Western background. When I looked at the Korean music and Korean instruments, it's over 5,000 years that we have experience of historical elements. And truly, geniusly, that's one of the genius instruments ever, that the sonorities you cannot find from Western notations or pitches. It's more likely philosophically Gayageum music, Korean music, is more to nature and more to the sonorities that the Western music is more exact tuning system, whereas the Korean music is non-pitch level. It's more to the atmosphere, nature, like beautiful cities in Vancouver's weather. It's more to heaven's music, when I call it. And especially for the Gayageum is representing moon instruments. So it's really to connected the heartbeats and more to cloud and winds and the seashells or all kinds of sounds that you can actually create into the heavens music that I want to always challenging to write the perfect pitches with the Western instruments with the so to speak is out of tune, out of tone pitch for the Gayageum music. It was very hard for me, but I think this is more to integrate more into multiculturalism, let's say interculturalism music.
I think it's very beautiful how you described it right now. Your words just sounded like music as well, Professor Lee. But now let's talk about the Grace Music College, which is the first music college that was founded by a Korean in Canada, and that is you, Professor Grace Lee. So tell us about it. I mean, it even educates on Korean national instruments. So how did it all start? And tell us also a bit about the curriculum.
It's a long stories because I have so many experiences teaching at the universities and colleges. Most of all, that I actually put in the Korean music in University of British Columbia since 1998, and Vancouver Community College University 2001. And I was always dreaming about putting the Korean music also instruments in my school. Back then, the year 2006 to 2014, 15, I was traveling, lecturing performance in throughout the U.S. universities such as Michigan, East Carolina, New York, St. Lawrence, and over the decades for over 20 universities that I found that I thought that this is representing myself, that I even though that I graduate Western instruments, composition and piano, I still want to put it Gayageum such as Korean music into to the music program curriculums, and so that Western people, other people, foreigners can learning it step by step. I think it's a very important role to putting another Korean music programs in my at the Grace Music College.
Wow.
Bella, you mentioned before it's never too late.
It's never
so
too late.
if you get the chance to go back to Canada, that's where you should head to.
I was just thinking about that. Grace Music College is definitely on my list if I do go back to Canada. And I now want to talk about your performances as well. Is there any special episodes that you have had, most memorable performances that you have? Maybe especially a performance that kind of played a role in connecting Korea and Canada?
It was so many concerts that I have so many episodes, but I want to bring up maybe two. Back then in New York, Carnegie Hall, I was very thrilled to performance in the Carnegie Hall as the first Canadian Korean composer represented for our groups. And I was waiting 5 minutes before the show, one of Gayageum's strings fall off. And actually, you need to over 10 minutes to fix that string. But I had to go on the stage, and I played with a violinist, and still one of the string was fall off. After the concert, but I still have to performing. I have to still continuing playing to the end. And most of the audience, Western audience, thought that that's the one part of the show, part of the performance. So, and And I was thanked to God that, it just finished that. And everybody believed that one of the techniques, they believe that that's the techniques of the Korean instruments. And second episode was actually I played at the I can't remember the hall in Korea, South Korea, 2002. It was overseas foundation, Korean foundation, sponsoring that. I was a Canadian traditional musician, like representative Gayageum, and I brought one of the violinists of VSO, Vancouver Symphony Orchestra. And by the time I played one of the song called Romance of the Fall, and I played with the violinist, and I didn't wear the hanbok, whereas I was wearing top of the dress, like in these days style. And that time, producer and then other audiences, other people thought that why she's not wearing hanbok, playing 가야금. And I just maybe too far. It was too early, like revolutionary to play with a different costume that I wanted to challenge, show the new era, new look for the 가야금 player. Not like a traditional costume as that. So I got the silver award, and the first award, one of Japanese musicians, she wore the hanbok with the 가야금 sanjo, and she got the gold medal.
Definitely very memorable episodes. Now, Professor Lee, last year, October was declared as the Korean Heritage Month in Canada. So how was the response of Korean residents regarding that designation? And has this influenced you as a musician or composer? And adding to that, what do you hope will be your role in the relationship between Canada and Korea with your music from here on?
I always, over the 20, 30 years, I always thrilled to be representing Korean and Canadian composer, promoting for the Canadians or Korean richness heritage. So I was very inspired, and one day I thought it would be all connected. Korean music should be bringing up into the Western society, Western North America, and we were so happy, very honored to call it year of the Heritage Month in Korean Heritage Month in Canada. So I guess more artists, more musicians probably promote more cultural events throughout the years. And myself also try my best to building up as a composer and musicians that will bringing up for legacy for the Canada's and Korea's heritage, cultural interculturalism of the music. Yeah, and I feel very honored to be here at the moment, and I am also really appreciate and thankful to God that I can be able to have all the chances, opportunities that I can creating more music and symphony or more classical for the K culture, K 가야금, new classical era that I can create. It's very wonderful times.
Well, we are very honored to have had you on the program today. Thank you very much, Professor Grace Lee, for sharing your story with us and your wonderful role in connecting the people of Korea and Canada through music.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Bella. We will talk to you again tomorrow.
Yes, I will be back tomorrow.
All right.